Hello everyone, X-Walk Hill Bethelite here, and I've been taking some time to reflect on my thoughts on Jehovah's Witnesses and Watchtower and the whole belief, my whole stance on things, and the issue is, how do you take a stand against extremism while at the same time not becoming an extremist yourself? Now, I don't want to make this about politics or anything unrelated to what I'm about to talk about. But one thought that comes to mind is the person who tried to assassinate Trump. Now, I know that there's a bunch of different views on, it was really the someone else, and they put him up to it. Whatever the case may be, people are entitled to their opinion. But the concept, just think about it. What if it was just a lone wolf act? The concept that Trump has got some views or beliefs that are extreme or strongly controversial to this person, and they think his views are so extreme that they want to take extreme action themselves, get on a roof and try to take a sniper shot at him. Well, the one of the problems is defeating the purpose and taking a stand on something you believe is extreme by becoming an extremist. You can't defeat something by becoming that thing. So I've been taking time to reflect, because as strongly as I am against religious extremism, I don't want to become an extremist. I don't want people to be able to say, oh, that's Marcus. He is an extremist against Jehovah's Witnesses. He doesn't have an articulable point that he's trying to make that's a good point. He's just an extremist and he just hates all Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't want people to be able to take that stance. I don't want people to be able to say, well, Marcus is against, a group of religious extremists, but he's an extremist himself, so it defeats the whole point. It's a draw, so to speak. No. So how does one take a stand without becoming an extremist? Well, you have to think about what in specific you're taking a stand against and focus on that thing. For example, I was once probably what you would call an extreme Jehovah's Witness. I thought we had everything right and everyone else had everything wrong. And the answer to what is my purpose or goal in life was to fully join that thing that I thought was so right about everything, and that was Watchtower. That was Jehovah's Witnesses. So more so, because I separate the two between Watchtower and Jehovah's Witnesses. A person can think that God's name is Jehovah and they want to read the Bible and they want to go out and try to talk to other people about the Bible. That can happen without a person being an extreme disciple of Watchtower. Extremely believing Watchtower is right about everything. Watchtower is the greatest organization on earth. I need to join Watchtower, and Watchtower above all else. That was what I was becoming until we're going to get to the point here of what exactly Marcus is taking a stance against, right? I'm not about to get up on the roof and take a snipe shot and just forget all my principles, right? I'm gonna try to dial down on calling all Jehovah's Witnesses stupid. I'll try to dial down on calling Sam Hurd names for now, although he has a beard. But I think at his age, it's a possibility he may not know he has a beard, right? People may have helped him grow it because they're wanting to put on a certain image for the governing body, but he may be at an age that he may not know he has a beard, even though he has one. But I'll try to dial that down because it distracts from the point. This young man that got up on the roof and took the snipe shot, that snipe shot is the only thing anybody's going to remember. They don't know what his point was. They're trying to figure it out. But therein lies my point. They don't know what his point was. All they know is extreme action he took. So let's articulate my point, my actual point. And that is that once I went to Bethel, right, joined Watchtower, officially worked full time for Watchtower, I saw that a lot of the wrongdoing that we are disfellowshipping or banishing, expelling your lower ranking members, your people who were not at Bethel, your people who were not your Bethel elders, your people who were not your governing body members, your people who were not your higher ups, right, within the organization. They were banishing them for the same acts that they were doing at Bethel. You had people who were getting drunk at Bethel, and you got scriptures against drunkenness. So you had all these people, let's call them, your Jehovah's Witnesses in general, who may want to worship and try to find the best way to worship. But the main issue, is that their religious faith was hijacked by Bethel. And Bethel was hijacked by a group of men who were involved with all manner of wrongdoing. And I ended up faced with seemingly an impossible situation. And that is wanting to do the right thing by joining Watchtower and then finding out that there are people who have positions in Watchtower who do not want to do the right thing. And how do you fix that issue? Do you report the wrongdoings to the wrongdoers? In other words, if you have a group of people at Bethel that all know each other. They all work together. They all have been in close fellowship for years. And you tell one of them or report to one of them, hey, this person is an alcoholic or this person is stumbling around drunk. And they turn on you for being the person who is reporting these things to them. Right? The problem is, how dare you go to brother such and such? You're supposed to come to me. I'm your direct superior, where you're the one that's stumbling around drunk. I'm supposed to report to you that you're drunk. You know you're drunk. I don't need to report to you. I need to report to somebody above you that can then handle the situation. You end up reporting to a group of people who essentially just cover for themselves. And there's no way to correct that situation. There's no way to feel that the organization is clean when nothing can happen to your higher ups. Nothing can happen to them. So the problem is essentially Watchtower, or an organization of men, group of men, essentially hijacked a faith, a religious view that a lot of people have, and used it to benefit themselves. Selling buildings in New York that we called Bethel for a long time for a lot of money. Selling those buildings for a lot of money. And then telling people who once believed that Watchtower cared for them and would look out for them as long as they were faithful to Jehovah. Just lowering a window here. Well, all those people that believe Watchtower would do right by them as long as they did the best that they could to serve Jehovah and work for Watchtower. Well, Watchtower just tossed them all out and said, hey, we are the religion. We are in control of it. We can do whatever it is we want to do. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. That was originally the issue. And me coming back from Bethel after they put tons of people out and trying to explain to people, see, I don't have a problem with your faith. I don't have a problem with you believing that God's name is Jehovah. I don't have a problem with you wanting to go and spread a belief that you think is good. The problem is you're following an organization of men, and these men have been involved with wrongdoing, been involved with corruption, and there's no separating the two. Right? There's no separating. Now I got to raise the window back up. Because there's always something odd going on. There's always some oddball that then parks their car perpendicular to yours with their windows down and whatnot. And I don't know what they're doing, but that's why I raised the window back up. That is the original gripe. It wasn't that there's a car parked perpendicular to mine with their windows down and they're just parked in a weird position for no reason. They could be taking a leak in a jar for all I know right now. You know, that's not the point. The point is, it was never a strong disdain for Jehovah's Witnesses. It was a strong disdain for Watchtower and what it had become. And that was a group of men that ruled over Jehovah's Witnesses. As a matter of fact, a lot of them call themselves anointed. Why are they anointed? Because they say so. And they're Christ's brothers, and they go in between people and Christ. Why? Because they say so. If you want to get to God, you got to go through them because they say so. Right? A belief of that I had that a person could join a religious group and try to become the best person they could possibly be, and that people who are running that religious organization would all be doing the same thing, that was false. And then you had extremist Jehovah's Witnesses that, regardless of what was going on at Bethel, they were going to try to sweep it under the rug. They were going to try to sweep all the wrongdoing under the rug, all the false teachings under the rug. That Watchtower can get teachings wrong and mislead millions of people however many times they want, and it's fine. We just won't talk about it because we need to sweep all these things under the rug, because we need people to believe that Watchtower is the best organization on earth. And the way to do that is to not talk about any of the things that are not so flattering. So we're so extreme, some Jehovah's Witnesses, we're so extreme that we're not going to talk. We will shun our own son or daughter, our own mother or father, if it means trying to get rid of people if they don't sweep under the rug all the things that have been done that were wrong in regards to Jehovah's Witnesses. So that's where it all started. It all started by me just wanting to be the best person I could possibly be, and thinking that Watchtower was a whole organization of people who are all trying to be the best people that they can be and to understand the Bible the best way that they can. And then after joining Bethel and no longer getting all my information about Bethel from magazines that they print and put out to people, essentially propaganda, once I actually was living there and could see from a day-to-day basis, yeah, like, we're talking about things in these magazines and these watchtowers, but not doing them here at Bethel. And then I'm trying to find someone to report wrongdoing to at Bethel, and there ain't nobody that I ran into that I could. You know, everybody that I talked to about things, oh man, they're watching this and that in this room, and it's got sex in it and whatnot, and we're at Bethel. Why would we be doing that? It would just get told to that person because the person I'm reporting it to and the people involved with it, they're all friends. They're all buddies. It's almost like what people run into in the event. Let's just say, for example, there is a police officer and they abuse their authority. Well, you go and report that to who? Another police officer, right? Their superior. You're reporting the police to the police. Well, there's sometimes where people run into issues where the police will then look into the police and say, well, no, there wasn't nothing wrong done. We all saw it on video. We saw there was something wrong done. But they investigated themselves and saw there was no wrongdoing. It was similar being at Bethel, and if there was wrongdoing taking place, obviously we want to point that out and try to fix it, because why? Because we got millions of people all around the world being disfellowshipped for these sorts of things. So why would it be okay for it to just run rampant at Bethel? If the higher-ups at Bethel would have someone expelled for doing the same things, it wouldn't be. So there was no way with a clean conscience that I could just ignore it. So when I saw things that weren't minor, were major, and then reported it, and then it would just get talked about and laughed about between the person I reported and their buddy, who is who I reported it to, right? Because if it's somebody that's a higher up, they've been there for years and know everybody. Well, that's a problem. And then once Watchtower, when I say Watchtower, I'm talking about all the higher ups, the people who run Watchtower. Once Watchtower decided we're going to sell buildings and just get rid of all the Bethelites that were once working for us, who knows where they're going, and we don't much care. We're ready to cash in on these buildings here. Well, once they did that, and now I can no longer try to find a way to fix it from within. I can no longer try to find someone who is a higher up at Watchtower who actually cares about wrongdoing going on amongst the higher ups. I can no longer do that because I'm no longer at Bethel. So now I'm in a situation where I'm trying to figure this thing out, and I'm trying to find other people to help me sort it out. I find people to talk to about it. Well, these people tend to just sweep it under the rug, right? The rank and file, the people who are not in the higher ups of Watchtower, the people who are under them, were just as bad in trying to sweep things under the rug and not wanting to talk about it and just hide it all as the higher ups, right? Now, I'm not saying this is everybody, but the people that I was talking to, they weren't wanting to do nothing about it either. Right? Let's all sweep these things under the rug. Any wrongdoing, any teaching that was false, we'll just sweep it all under the rug. We'll forget about it all. Right? And if you keep trying to help fix it, or you keep bringing things up, we'll just shun you. We'll just get rid of anybody who doesn't agree with our religious stance. And that is, Watchtower can do no wrong. If they do, we'll just forget about it. If you do anything wrong, we'll shun you. We won't talk to you for decades. Like it was to the point where I finally read Crisis of Conscience. I understood where Ray France was coming from. I understood the position he was in, where your conscience is bothering you, but the people who run Watchtower, they're not going to expel themselves. They're not going to discipline themselves. They'll just get rid of you if you want to try to make things right. So you're talking complete and utter hijacking of a religion by a group of men. So essentially, originally, my issue wasn't with all Jehovah's Witnesses originally. And then what ends up happening is eventually I start to run into people and talk to people who are like myself and who notice the wrongdoings. that were going on. Notice the teachings that weren't true. Notice all these traditions of men that they're trying to change, some of them, about not having beards, and all these traditions of men where someone sits in the back of the kingdom hall if they do something wrong for 6 months, and then after someone says it's okay, now they're clean. You know what I mean? It's just all these things that aren't in the Bible per se, but a man said, and now it's basically scripture. Other people were noticing the same things, and me being a very feeling person, when these other people would tell me how their mothers treated them, their fathers treated them, how horribly they were treated by people who claim to be Jehovah's Witnesses. Why? Just because they had a conscience and they noticed things that were wrong and they spoke up about it. Right? If a person is truly wanting to serve God, then they would be right behind you if you speak up about wrongdoing. But no, a lot of people want to serve Watchtower. So essentially, I'm trying to be more balanced now, and try not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I still have the same stance that you cannot say you 100% worship God, and at the same time, you 100% follow Watchtower, a group of men. That's not possible. It's impossible. That's like a woman saying that she's got 2 husbands. You know what I mean? Like, you can't. There's something called polygamy, but typically it's a man and a whole bunch of women. You don't typically, not to my knowledge, have a woman and a whole bunch of men, because they're not going to want to share. You know what I mean? It's God is not going to want to share with a bunch of men. So you can't say I serve Jehovah, but I 100% listen to these men in Watchtower. And if they tell me not to have a beard, I'm going to take it off. If they tell me to have one now, I'm going to start growing one at 70. Right? If they tell me to jump, I'm going to say how high. I'm going to completely serve them and somehow still serve Jehovah at the same time. That's the issue. That's the issue. And why would Watchtower, change it if they got a bunch of people following and worshiping them? So essentially, I'm trying to look at the changes and examine them with fresh eyes. Because a lot of the people who were involved with what happened at Bethel when I was there, natural, natural repercussions. A lot of them are dead, right? A lot of those governing body members are dead, or they're to the point of in age where they've got beards and don't know that they have beards, or they're just so old it doesn't matter anymore. What happened way back when I was at Bethel, the people who were involved back then, some of the people stumbling around drunk, to my knowledge, are dead now. So what's the point, you know what I mean, in focusing on something people did that these people are probably not even alive anymore, or if they are, they're so old that they're stumbling around not because they're drunk, but they're stumbling around because they're 96. So I'm going to try, and we'll all do it. Not we'll all do it, but I'll share it with everyone. I'll try to take a fresh look at Jehovah's Witnesses and see if anything's changed. You know what I mean? They've changed a lot. I hear that there might be a new change coming up. The rumor is they may allow people to have birthdays. And just not have candles or whatever the case may be. Essentially, if this becomes more of a let your Christian conscience guide you and not a group of men literally be God and tell you what you can and can't do, well, then that's a different story. So let's examine it in the next coming videos that I'll do. We'll examine it. We'll see if things have changed. And if things have changed, I'll try to take a more balanced stance to it. If things have not changed and we want to worship Watchtower, right? We want to say we worship Jehovah, but in reality, whatever Watchtower tells us to do, we're doing, so we're serving Watchtower. If that's still the case, then hey, it is what it is. But Watchtower did come forward a while back and say, hey, we're not inspired or infallible. To a certain extent, back then, that was a step in the right direction, telling people we're not Jehovah. We ain't talked to Jehovah. We ain't got no infallibility, right? If y'all are following every little thing we tell you, then you're following men. You know, that was at least a step in the right direction. And that is me saying something positive about Jehovah's Witnesses. And it almost, you know, makes it you know, gag reflex. But I'm trying to be more balanced. I'm trying not to be, we're not being an extremist. We're going to try to be balanced. We're going to examine it freshly and see if there's any real change or any real progress. So comment down below. Let me know what you think. X Wall Kill Bethelite signing out.